Alright, so World Zero is updated with 2 new legendary classes, and today we're going to showcase the Warlord class here. Already showcased the Summoner class, so check that out if you want to choose either or, but you can get both eventually. And how to get these classes, you want to go ahead and head to the class page here. You want to click Prestige. When you get to level 100, you can go ahead and teleport to World 1. If you're not World 1, it'll teleport you there, and you go back to the same page here and go ahead and click Prestige. What happens when you click Prestige, you will lose and go back to level 1, and all your main quest progress will reset, but you'll keep everything else, items and all that stuff, classes will all be there. The only thing you'll get as well is you get 0.5 permanent minimum drop rate per prestige, so you can get 2 no matter what max in this update, and you'll get 1% extra in legendary drops. And then eventually on March 13th or March 18th, you'll unlock prestige dungeons, which are probably out by now or not out right now based on when you watch the video here. So we're going to go ahead and check out show you guys the skills and talk about some pros and cons here and there and how the playstyle is. So Warlord, from what I can tell, it uses a axe and a shield. So not a paladin, uses a long sword, a one-handed sword, and a shield. So a little bit different there. In my opinion, the way I see Warlord here is a tank utility class. It can have a decent health scaling, and it can provide by applying debuffs and applying CC. So it has a utility similar to Spirit Archer, but not really this DPS. So if you're looking for a DPS class, this is not a DPS class. It can do damage, but not as strong as other classes. But it can provide decent utility to help in a party, which maybe prestige dungeons might need, for example. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys everything here. So here is the auto attacks. It is very fast. It is almost on par with a dual wielder, but I'll do it as faster, but it does hit and hit pretty fast. So here's the attack speed and everything. Does pretty well. Let's go ahead and use it on an enemy here in this dungeon for our showcase here. Warlord's Rage. So here's to get this little gargoyle here. As you can see, it does 755 damage and our axe does 8. So the scaling here is just like that. So just decent damage and auto attacks, but of course, when it comes to higher difficulty dungeons, you don't want to take damage, but you're kind of forced to do that. So next up, we're going to have the next ability, which is the E ability, which we have is Shockwave. Now this is an ability where you can reactivate it 3 times, and on the 3rd hit, it will do double damage. So here's an example. 1, 2, and then 3, and it does AoE damage, right? And it's the 3rd hit will do double damage. Here's an example of 1 hit here. 1 does 1.7. Of course, damage doesn't matter unless what level you are. But one thing to remember is that you don't have it forever. As you can see here, it went on cooldown, even though I use 1 hit only. So you want to make sure that you use it. If you wait too long, I can't even use it. See, if you wait like 1 second to 2 seconds, you will not be able to use the 3rd one. So you have to use 3 in consecutive order here. So you have to spam it. If you wait too long here, you might not be able to use it. So for example, let's say, okay, I'm going to, if I do like this, 1, okay, I wait too long, then I do 2, I can't do it again. Timing is very short there. So here's an example of a group of enemies here. We'll use it 3 times, but I might just kill in 2 because we're pretty strong. Do 1, 2, and then 3. Double damage, 3.5k, and 1 shots. I do it again. 1, 2, and yeah, they're all dead. Next ability we have is Counter Block. Similar to Paladin, it reflects 90% damage and inflicts shock. So instead of doing the target damage back with the Paladin, it will deal an AoE shock to everybody nearby. So here's an example of 1 target. So here, we do the block. You can see that it does AoE damage and then also applies a shock debuff, which then does damage over time. Do a block again. It's not going to attack because I'm in a bad range. Block again. So initial damage, you take 51 damage because it's not fully 100% block. And then we apply a shock debuff. So do it again here. Block, and then applies that. Damage over time. Do it again. The one thing about this is that the block, as you can tell from based on Paladin's a very short timing to block, but with Warlord, it lasts a bit longer, as you can tell. It is much longer, and the cooldown is very, very short. It's been up for about 2 seconds and the cooldown's 3 seconds, but it doesn't go off cooldown, or it goes on cooldown at 3 seconds and doesn't matter if you use it. It will be on cooldown if you use it. So let's do it in a group of enemies here to show what it can do here. And I haven't tested if it hit multiple times, but because it's always hard to test this. So yeah, I think you can hit it. They can hit you twice, I think, and it might be good. It's hard to tell, but it might do multiple shockwaves if the enemies hit you multiple times. It's very hard to tell. Maybe it could be confirmed later, but that's what I can tell. That's what we have. Chains of War. This is one of your big utility abilities. Here's what it looks like when you use it. So it's a very long cast time, but it will do an AoE damage, and it will actually spawn chains, and it will actually apply that weakening debuff, the armor debuff, the weakened defense, for enemies to take more damage for 3 seconds, similar to Spirit Archer. But this one, I'm not sure if it's intentional, but it can also be applied to bosses, as we'll show in the future here. So here's an example of it used on one enemy here. So we can bring this Magma Bat real close here, and you can see when we use it, it'll actually apply these chains. Now they're kind of stuck, just like that, which can be good for some other classes. I think they're stuck because also it's the invisible wall there, but not a good example there. We do it again here. So apply it, bang, and they're chains, and we keep walking here. And I mean, hard to tell now at this point because of the stupid invisible wall there. We'll go somewhere better. How about this over here? So pop it down. Now they're gonna keep coming here. And they are going really far. I thought they would be kind of stuck. I wonder. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I thought they would be stuck. Anyways, as you can tell, it actually they applies the debuff. As you can see, if you don't know how much damage you do, we do 755. If we apply this down, now we attack the guy with the debuff, we do 1,132. So you can see that it does weaken them a little bit, and it's an AoE as well. So for example, for Spirit Archer, as you know, it'll bounce off like 5 targets and it'll apply a debuff, but this can do more than 5, but it's only lasts for 3 seconds and can be applied to bosses as well. That's pretty much everything there. We can use our ultimate in the next area, but let's go just do some examples here. So we'll use our R ability, and then not our ability, but we want to use our other ability. We'll use it after our ability. We'll use our block, lasts for a very long time, and then it's dead because of the electric. 1, 2. All right, let's use our F ability and then our E ability, and this should be pretty decent ad clear of everything. Let's go ahead and do that. See this. So you're gonna go ahead and use your F ability, applies the debuff, then you use your E ability. Of course, you get stunned because it's lava golems. Block. E ability 1, 2, 3. There you go. Now our ultimate. The ultimate is the big tree. Has a Nordic name, which I'm too lazy to pronounce. Yggdrasil or something like that. And what it does is that the initial attack will chain the enemies, and any enemy that comes in later will take AoE damage over time. I don't know how long it lasts, maybe like 20 seconds. So here's an example of this. So we're going to pop it down. It's a giant cast time though, so you gotta be careful. Pop it down like this. Initial one, it'll be chained and it'll do AoE damage over time and applying the electrical buff. The electrical buff makes them stunned for a bit, and then now they're stuck to the tree. And they'll just die over time. So that's pretty much how it goes. You can see how long it lasts here. And what's good about it, I think it's better to use this in ads, as every time you kill, enemies, you'll get your ultimate charged up. So it's better to use on big groups so you can get it back pretty easily. Bosses, not so much. Can be useful. Example boss, we apply a debuff. As you see, there's 3. 1, 2, and 3. So we apply the debuff for the boss here with our F ability. Massive damage. There we go. And then we'll do it again here on phase 2. Put the shield down for extra damage. 1, 2, 3. We can use our dodge in between. Block, not gonna work. It's not using attack. We're gonna have our ult pretty soon here. Let's see how much damage it does. Did it hit? Because he has immune phase here. Alright, so let's go ahead and pop our ults. Oh, I forgot there was that. Don't do that. That's one thing. Don't dodge and do that. I keep forgetting to not do that, but I don't think it's gonna get it fixed because it's difficult. But yeah, don't use our ult and dodge. I guess we don't have to see it. You know, it happens. It happens. Just, you know, avoid doing that. And there we go. Pros and cons. I mean, it's good for adding CC and decent. It's okay DPS, but not the best. Attacks pretty fast, but when it comes to Nightmare Dungeons, you don't want to get near enemies for the most part. Other than that, you know, cons. It's I don't know. It's kind of slow, but that's just depends on your playstyle really. I think it's not a bad class. I think it works well in a party. I think its utility can be very useful with bosses and large groups of enemies, but by yourself it's pretty difficult to solo with. I could be wrong. The block is good. Other than that, I think it's a pretty good class, but it may need some tweaks here and there. But I don't want this video for too long. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's a little showcase there. I hope I went through mostly everything. Hopefully, all the skills, and if you're curious, some stuff, some ins and outs there. But you know, don't dodge and use your ult at the same time. That's a nice PSA for you guys, because that doesn't it makes it bad. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that. That is Warlord, and that's it, I guess.